Let me lead you into a shadowed corner of history, a place where the light of truth wasn't forged in golden palaces, but in the freezing chill of chains and the grinding of iron. There is a secret that the most powerful men on earth have always craved, yet, ironically, it was held in the calloused hands of a man who owned absolutely nothing. A slave. Close your eyes. Imagine Rome in the 1st century. You are in a damp, suffocating room that reeks of mold and rusted metal. There stands a man named Epictetus. His legs are locked in the torture devices of a sadistic master. As the master begins to turn the screw, Epictetus doesn't beg. He doesn't scream. He simply looks directly into the eyes of his tormentor, calm as a mirror-still lake, and says, "You are going to break my leg." And then, crack. The sound of bones snapping echoes through the room, cold and dry. In a level of agony that would make most men faint, Epictetus simply offers a faint, enigmatic smile. A smile of pure power, and whispers, "I told you so. It's broken." Oh. The secret is this: Epictetus had discovered an unshakable kingdom. He understood that while his master could own his body and crush his bones, his mind was a fortress, a sanctuary where no army, no emperor, and no tormentor could ever set foot without his permission. In that moment, he was freer than any emperor trembling on a golden throne, paralyzed by the fear of assassination or the loss of power. Now, let's bring this ancient code from the distant past into the jagged, heart-pounding reality of modern-day Brazil. Look into the steep, suffocating alleys of the favelas in Rio de Janeiro. Amidst the stifling heat, the distant echo of gunfire, and the crushing weight of poverty, you will find the modern Epictetus. They are the mothers and fathers returning home after a brutal 12-hour shift of back-breaking labor. Their hands are scarred, their bodies exhausted, yet they still find the strength to pull their children close and offer a radiant, genuine smile. How can they be happy in the middle of this earthly hell? Because they have made a sovereign decision. The world can take their money, it can throw them into hardship, but the world does not have the right to tell them how to feel. They aren't waiting for wealth to be happy. They have chosen happiness as an act of rebellion against fate. This is the true power I want to hand to you today, the sovereignty of attitude. Refuse to let the outside world become your master. Build your internal fortress right now. Because the moment you master your own reaction, you become the emperor of your own life, no matter where you are standing. There is a kind of love, the strangest kind in the world, a code that only the most courageous souls dare to touch. It isn't the burning fire of romance, nor the warm embrace of family. It is a love forged in steel and flame, a mysterious, raw passion called Amor Fati, the love of one's fate. Imagine yourself standing in the heart of Sao Paulo, where skyscrapers of concrete and glass rise up like giants, ready to swallow the sky. Midday. The heat is sweltering, the crowds are frantic. A man walks out of an office building for the very last time. 10 years of his life, 10 years of sweat, tears, and every cent he ever owned, have just vanished into the smoke of a bankruptcy filing. In his pocket, only a few spare coins remain. On his shoulders, the crushing weight of a devastating failure. But look closely into his eyes. You won't see despair. You won't find tears of resentment or curses spat at the market. Instead, there is an inner fire beginning to smolder. He takes a deep, steady breath, looks at the wreckage of his life and smiles. He whispers, "Thank you for the collapse. Because only now, with nothing left in my hands, do I finally know who I really am." This is the line in the sand between the victim and the Stoic master. We Brazilians are a people of passion. We love hard, we live loud. But Stoicism demands a great leap of the soul. Do not merely endure adversity like a pathetic victim. Love it. View every pang of pain, every cold betrayal, and every hard fall as a supreme gift sent by the universe to temper the blade of your spirit. Amor Fati is not submission. It is a dance of power. It is like a roaring fire that isn't afraid of what you throw into it. Instead, it takes the trash, the dry wood, and the bitterest cold and uses it as fuel to burn brighter than ever before. Stop praying for the storms in your life to disappear. That is the wish of a child. Instead, pray for the strength to dance within the storm. When you learn to love whatever happens to you, whether it is a moment of pure joy or a heartbreak that rips you open, you become truly invincible. For how can fate ever defeat a man who loves every blow it deals him? Turn your destiny into your ally. Turn your pain into the power to reinvent yourself. Your new life doesn't start tomorrow. It starts right here in this very wreckage right now. Let me show you an invisible boundary, a spiritual dividing line that separates the slaves of circumstance from the masters of fate. Thousands of years ago, beneath the painted porches of Athens, Zeno, the father of Stoicism, looked deep into the machinery of the universe. He discovered a grand code called the Logos. It is the symphony of nature, where every note is written by immutable laws. Flowers must fade, the body must age, and the rain will fall regardless of your prayers. The secret isn't in trying to rewrite the symphony. The secret is knowing which instrument in the orchestra is yours to play. There is a brutal, jagged line. On one side lies the external world, a chaotic storm where you are utterly helpless. On the other side lies your internal fortress, the only place where you hold absolute, sovereign power. Step away from the ancient scrolls for a moment. Step into the sweltering heat and the deafening wall of horns on Paulista Avenue, in the beating heart of Sao Paulo at rush hour. You are trapped in a car. The clock is ticking toward a meeting that could define your entire career. Sweat drips down your neck. Your heart races. The heat rising from the asphalt feels like it's burning away the last of your patience. Right now, you are standing at a crossroads of the mind. You can choose to become a piece of the chaos outside. You can lean on the horn, scream at the windshield, and let rage poison every cell in your body. But ask yourself, does that fury move the traffic a single inch? Or does it just make you a victim defeated by the Logos? Or you can perform a miracle of the mind. You can take one deep, steady breath. You can accept that this gridlock is an inevitable piece of reality at this very second. You reach out, turn on some smooth bossa nova, and let the whispered soul of João Gilberto fill the small sanctuary of your car. The traffic belongs to the universe, my calm belongs to me. The very moment you stop trying to control what was never yours to begin with, a mystical silence will wrap around your soul. This is ataraxia, absolute tranquility in the eye of the hurricane. When you master the boundary of control, you are no longer a victim of the traffic, the weather, or the whims of the world. You become a free man, someone enjoying a rare moment of stillness in a frantic life, while the rest of the world burns itself out in frustration. Remember, the world can be a madhouse, but your internal fortress must always remain impenetrable. Deep in the shadows of the human psyche, a monster lies in wait. Its name is anger. It loves to cloak itself in the robes of authority, dominance, and deafening screams, all designed to make the world tremble. But Seneca, a philosopher who survived the most ruthless corridors of imperial power, saw right through that mask. He left us a code that flips the script on your enemies. All cruelty is born of weakness. This isn't just a quote, it's a psychological revolution. A master key that changes your entire position in the face of an attack. Picture a high-rise office in the financial heart of Sao Paulo. The air is thick with tension. A boss is screaming, his face a violent shade of red, hurling insults like poison-tipped arrows directly at you. Most people would either shrink in fear or explode in rage. But a Stoic master? They do something far more radical. They stand there as still as a statue carved from granite. They look at the person screaming with a strange, deep sense of compassion. Why compassion? Because they see the hidden truth. The man screaming isn't powerful. He is a victim in crisis. He is a prisoner to his own fear of losing control, shackled by pressures he can't handle, tortured by the demon of rage from the inside out. His cruelty is nothing more than the agonizing cry of a broken soul. Don't fear a man who has lost himself. See his helplessness and keep your own soul clean. Now bring this home. To your spouse, your family, your closest friends, where words are used as the ultimate weapons of war. When a loved one fires a verbal bullet at you in the heat of an argument, stop. The very second you react with rage, you have dropped to your knees. You have handed them the keys to your soul. You are giving them permission to dictate your heart rate, your blood pressure, and your peace of mind. You have turned yourself into a puppet, and you've handed them the strings. True strength is not found in a closed fist or a louder scream. It is found in the staggering silence of a steel fortress. A truly powerful man, a truly resilient woman, possesses a soul as deep as the ocean. You can throw a rock into the sea, but you can never make the sea flinch. Those empty words outside? They are nothing but dust motes drifting across the sun of your mind. Take back your emotional keys. Remember, the true victor isn't the one who crushes their opponent with violence. It's the one who stands tall in the eye of the hurricane and doesn't let a single drop of rain touch the serenity within. Have you ever felt like you're caught in the crossfire of a war that never ends? A siege where the arrows of betrayal, the storms of financial ruin, and the jagged glass of public judgment rain down relentlessly on your soul? There is a secret architecture of the spirit, a code for existence that Marcus Aurelius called the Internal Citadel. It isn't built of brick or stone. It is a sacred sanctuary within you, a place where no outside force, whether it's a collapsing economy or the cold back of a lover, can never set foot unless you open the door. Step back in time with me. Stand in the center of the Maracana Stadium under a blood-red Brazilian sunset. Can you hear it? The deafening roar of 80,000 voices. The crushing weight of a nation's hope. The bone-crunching tackles of an opponent desperate to shatter your will. This was the reality that legends like Pelé and Ronaldo faced from the moment they were barefoot children on the red dust of the favelas. How, amidst that ocean of hostility and noise, did they still find the magic to dance with the ball and finish with a cold, lethal precision? The secret wasn't just in their feet. It was in their ability to slam shut the gates of their internal citadel. In that split second, the world vanished. No crowd, no pressure, no past poverty, no uncertain future. Just them, the ball, and an absolute terrifying stillness within. They built a sanctuary where no noise could penetrate, turning their minds into an immovable anchor in a chaotic universe. Now look at your own life. Your opponents might be a mountain of debt, a gut-wrenching betrayal, or the hollow loneliness of a crowded city. Without an internal citadel, you are nothing but a leaf on a storm-tossed ocean, at the mercy of every wave of emotion. But the moment you lay the first bricks of self-discipline and reason, you discover a startling truth. You can lose every cent you own, and yet your dignity and your soul remain untouched. The whole world can turn its back on you, and yet inside that fortress, you remain your own most loyal ally. Start building it today. Use the bricks of silence. Build the walls of acceptance. Because when your internal citadel is fortified, you fear nothing. You walk through life with the stride of an emperor, even if your pockets are empty. Step with me into a freezing night at the jagged edge of the ancient Roman Empire. Inside a soldier's tent, amidst the clashing of steel and the heavy breathing of 10,000 sleeping men, sits a man alone by a flickering candle. This is Marcus Aurelius, the man who held the fate of the entire world in the palm of his hand. But strangely, he isn't using that power to bark dogmas at his subjects. He is hunched over, his hand trembling as he scratches out words meant for one soul and one soul only, his own. His book, The Meditations, is more than a journal. It is a code of self-salvation. It is where the emperor strikes himself across the face with a brutal truth. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. He understood that amidst the betrayals of the court and the rot of the palace, words are nothing but hollow smoke. Only action is heavy enough to anchor a man in the shifting tides of life. Now, bring the light from Marcus's tent into the neon-soaked, hollow reality of our world today. Look at the glowing phone screens in the high-end districts of Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. We live in an era where kindness has been packaged into endless status updates and polished hashtags about the environment or human rights. We are obsessed with building the image of a saint on social media, while we indifferently step over a leaking trash bag on our own sidewalk. True Stoicism doesn't live in dust-covered libraries. It lives in the dirt under your fingernails. A real expert in the human spirit won't tell you to write an essay on compassion. I am telling you, put your phone in your pocket. Step out onto the street. Silently pick up the piece of trash that is scarring your neighborhood. Stop. Buy a hot meal and place it in the hands of the homeless man shivering on the corner, and do it without taking a single photo to brag about it. The very second your hands touch the raw truth of life, that is the moment you truly connect with the logos, the heartbeat of the universe. Kindness doesn't have an echo of applause. It has the warmth of silent action. Stop being a philosopher of theories. Turn your life into a living sermon that doesn't need a single word. Because in the end, when the sun goes down and you face yourself in the mirror, the universe won't ask you what you said, it will ask you what you did. Be a good man. Right here. Right now. In the smallest, quietest, and most invisible acts of your life. Imagine a sweltering summer afternoon in the heart of ancient Corinth. Amidst a crowd of whispering onlookers stands the most powerful human being on the planet. A man who conquered the world from Greece to the edge of India, Alexander the Great. He stands, majestic and imposing, before a weathered, rotting wooden barrel. And inside that barrel lives a man the world calls mad. A homeless, penniless philosopher named Diogenes. Alexander, with all the hollow generosity of a king, leans down and says, "Ask of me whatever you desire, and I shall grant it to you." The crowd holds its breath. They expect Diogenes to beg for gold, for jewels, or for a high-ranking title. But no. Diogenes simply squints at the emperor who is looming over him and utters a single sentence that shattered history. "Stand aside. You're blocking my sunlight." In that split second, a code of absolute freedom was decrypted. Alexander stood there stunned. He realized that even though he owned the entire world, he wasn't nearly as free as the man lying in that wooden barrel. What? Because Diogenes needed nothing, and therefore no one could take anything away from him. It was from this DNA of extreme indifference and radical letting go that Zeno, the father of Stoicism, forged a philosophy to help us find freedom right in the middle of society. Now look at our own reality. Look at the neon-lit jungles of Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. We are living in modern barrels, yet we are draped in invisible chains. Are you grinding through back-breaking 12-hour shifts, drowning in credit card debt just to own a luxury car or a high-end apartment? For what? To impress people you don't even like? Stoic minimalism isn't about living in poverty, it's a rebellion against the enslavement of stuff. Every time you strip away a shallow desire, you are cutting a string that the world uses to pull your soul. When you learn to be satisfied with what you have, you reclaim your own sunlight. Stop letting your luxuries become your masters. Ask yourself, do you own those things, or do those things own your life? True freedom isn't found in accumulation, it's found in subtraction. When you have nothing left to lose, you finally have everything. Don't let anyone, and don't let anything, block the sun of freedom that is shining in your soul. Stand up, shed the dead weight of unnecessary burdens, and walk away with the stride of a man who has finally mastered himself. Close your eyes. Picture yourself standing on a chariot of solid gold, parading through the radiant streets of ancient Rome. All around you, tens of thousands of voices roar your name, hailing you as if you were a god. You have conquered far-off lands, you are at the absolute peak of power and glory. But right behind you, pressed against your ear, a lowly slave whispers a chilling phrase, steady as the rhythm of fate. Memento Mori. Remember that you too are only mortal. Remember that you must die. This isn't a curse. It is the ultimate wake-up call, a sacred code for the soul. The Romans understood that at the heights of arrogance, we need the bitter medicine of truth to keep our feet on the ground. In the Stoic world, death isn't a dark shadow to flee from. It is a brilliant gift that cuts through the noise and helps us see through the illusions of life. Now bring that cold, sober breath into our frantic reality, into the high-pressure streets of Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro. We spend our entire lives in a state of fear. Fearing judgment, fearing the loss of status, fearing we won't buy the newest phone in time. We live as if we are immortal, squandering our most precious years on things that truly do not matter. So, let me hand you a question that will shake your soul to its very core. If you woke up this morning and realized you had exactly 365 days left to live, what would you do? Would you still lose sleep over a hateful comment on social media? Would you still grovel before a toxic boss just for a tiny bonus? Or would you immediately rip off the mask and chase the passion you've kept buried for so long? The moment you accept that death is waiting for you at the end of the hall, the fear of what people think vanishes like smoke. Only the truth remains. Only what is essential survives. Don't live someone else's life. Don't wait until your breath grows shallow to realize you never actually lived. Treat every day like the final chapter of your own movie. Love passionately. Act fiercely. Live like a true Stoic warrior. Death is not the enemy. The real tragedy is to be breathing while your soul has already withered away from cowardice. Memento Mori. Live because you know you will die. And when the time comes, die with the smile of a man who lived every single second. Step with me to a remote shore on a night of violent storms, where the massive waves of the Atlantic are screaming, crashing with a primal fury against the jagged cliffs of Brazil. Midst the pitch-black darkness and the chaos of nature, there stands a single entity. Alone, yet magnificent. Many people mistake Stoicism for an emotionless rock, numb and indifferent to pain. But they are wrong. A rock is eventually worn down and shattered by the relentless sea. The true Stoic is a lighthouse. A lighthouse doesn't try to stop the storm. It doesn't argue with the waves. It stands firm because its foundation is carved deep into the bedrock of awareness. It shines not to show off, but to guide the ships lost in the void. Stoicism doesn't take away the burning, passionate heart of the Brazilian people. It hands them a suit of diamond armor to protect that heart from the rot of the world. This is the final code I want to etch into your soul. Never let the world define who you are. The world will hurl at you terrifying economic news, betrayals from those you love, and vague fears about the future. In those moments, activate the three powers we have decoded together. Use logos, reason, as a divine vision to see the rules of the game, to know what is trash to be discarded and what is truth to be kept. Use ataraxia, tranquility, as your protective shield, turning your soul into a deep, still pool where no stone can ever create a ripple. And finally, use action as the manifesto of your existence. A master doesn't talk about freedom. They live it. Ken Lai, you are holding a spiritual weapon that the people of Brazil crave now more than ever. In a culture rich with emotion but vulnerable to hardship, your voice will be that anchor, that lighthouse, for souls adrift in the dark. The script is more than just words. It is a transfer of power, taking it from the hands of fate and placing it into the hands of the viewer. When they realize they can dance in the middle of a hurricane without ever getting soaked, that is when our project touches greatness. Are you ready to lead them into their internal fortress? Are you ready to help them become masters of themselves? This draft is ready. It is ripe with emotion and grounded in truth. I believe your audience won't just watch, they will awaken. Now let the light of modern Invictus shine.